My name's Hazem, and today we're going to learn about confined spaces. So, a confined space is um, it's a space that's only got one way out, or a restricted way out. So, it's restricted in that it's hard to escape or rescue somebody who is hurt. Now, in order for you to enter a confined space, you must have at minimum a respirator, rescue training, and a code of practice. And what that typically means is when you have a worker go into a confined space, there must be like a bunch of other workers standing by monitoring him and making sure that they can pull him out safely. So a lot of times you got a worker, so you got a manhole, let's say, and you got a guy at the bottom of the manhole. So what we'll do is he'll have a harness and a monitor and a rope to the surface, and there'll be 3 people on the surface, and those people will be standing by in case he gets hurt, and they'll pull him out with the rope. So one of the things that we're concerned about is there's toxic gases in the confined space which can increase the health risk. So there's, let's say, carbon monoxide, this guy could pass out, or it could be, if there's some other gas, he could have an explosion. So before you enter a confined space, you must have a gas detector first of all, and this is one sample, but you've got other types that like body worn ones. Now this one can check for like 10 different combustible gases. So before you enter, you use the detector to check the space. So you're checking to make sure that there's no hazardous gases and there's lots of oxygen. But if there isn't, then you flush it with air until it's safe, until the toxic gas goes down and the oxygen level goes up. And then we keep monitoring the space while we go inside to make sure that nothing bad happens, because the situation can change quickly. So we want to have a team in place in case of a problem. And we must also have a safety watch person at the entrance. So the safety watch guy, he's always talking to you, making sure that you're okay. As soon as if he notices something wrong, then he has to call for help, and they put the rescue plan into place and pull you out right away. Now, the other thing is, if we have flammable substances, do not enter the work area if more than 20% of the limit of a flammable substance is present. So this is normally in parts per million. So every substance is different. So for example, let's say we've got sour gas and the lower explosive limit is 100 parts per million. That means for every million molecules of air, 100 of them are the toxic gas. And at that point, the air is going to be explosive. So it can build up really quickly. So we don't want to enter an environment with 100 as well, because a gas may not be fully concentrated evenly. So if we've got a big room and our toxic gas, if you measure it here, it may be 20 ppm here, and it may be 80 in the center and it may be 100 in the corner. So we want to be 20% or less. Now, that is, unless you're a firefighter, for example, and you've got all your gear, then you're okay. You have to go in because that's your job. Obviously, don't smoke and don't use an open flame where there's a flammable substance. And do not mix, clean, or use a flammable substance at a temperature above its flash point if there's a source of ignition. Do not use a flammable liquid at a temperature above its flash point, and do not store rags that are used to clear flammable substances except in a container that is labeled for contaminated rags. Oily rags can be a disaster. Now remember, earlier I told you about the triangle that creates fire, so it's oxygen, heat, and fuel. And we always need the three. So we will continue in the next video.